You raise a compelling perspective. Personally, I've always subscribed to what I call the drip, drip, drip effect. This was my theory with Johnny Manziel. Everyone makes mistakes, especially in youth. But when it becomes 2, 3, 4, even 5 incidents, that's no longer a leaky faucet. It's a full-blown plumbing failure. In Sheadur Sanders' case, there are at least 6 clips from his college days that suggest a streak of immaturity, arguably brash, maybe bratty. Then came the now infamous, painfully awkward draft room footage. As a B-level prospect, that didn't help. Follow that up with 2 speeding citations, both exceeding 90 minutes, and a missed arrangement. It's no longer just a red flag, it's a signal flare. Now the NFL finds itself navigating a PR storm. A former Browns coach stepped into the fray, defending Sanders in response to the traffic violations, igniting a wave of online commentary. Supporters praise the loyalty, critics question the motive. Shedeur has now become the eye of an unexpected media cyclone. And the big question is, why is a Cleveland coach so staunchly defending him? At first, I shrugged at the news of the speeding ticket. But now, learning it was over 40 plus above the limit, less than 2 weeks after another ticket, it paints a more troubling picture. Is this arrogance or just youthful negligence? Either way, there are front offices breathing a sigh of relief that they passed on him. Critics have seized the narrative, reducing Sanders' character to a pair of traffic stops, completely overlooking his academic achievements, athletic dominance, and philanthropic work. In one of the incidents, he was reportedly clocked at 105 mph in a borrowed Lamborghini. The optics alone were disastrous. And then, of all franchises, the Browns emerged in his defense. A team known more for instability than success suddenly became a moral compass, trying to validate a 5th-round pick's behavior. The irony was impossible to ignore. When the former coach spoke up, presenting himself as a voice of mentorship and discipline, the league listened, not because of his resume, but because of the controversy. I didn't love it, the coach admitted, not from a 5th-round pick, but it's his first time living away from his father. He's bound to hit a few bumps. He refused to sell his stock in Sanders, especially in light of the Browns' legal history at quarterback. 2 speeding tickets? That's nothing compared to what we've dealt with. Yet the narrative quickly escalated, no longer just about traffic violations. It evolved into a referendum on character growth leadership. The coach framed it as a teachable moment. Critics pounced. Some blamed Deion Sanders' parenting, others attempted to discredit the coach altogether. This public reaction revealed an alarming double standard. Fans often excuse sideline meltdowns, locker room altercations, and far more egregious legal missteps. Yet Shedeur's speeding became a symbol of dysfunction. If such standards were universally applied, half the league would be under fire. Predictably, sports media amplified the drama. Panels dissected Shedeur's decision-making. Segments aired with titles like Red Flags and Road Rage. Analysts speculated whether this would derail his first-round status. NFL teams do value discipline and optics matter in evaluations, but the response felt wildly inflated. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, tensions rose for an entirely different reason. Coach Kevin Stefanski made headlines with his comments about possibly bringing in another quarterback. Suddenly, Sheadur Sanders, who had lit up camp with efficiency and poise, found his role under public examination. Analysts noted something odd. Stefanski promised an open 4-man QB competition, but only 3 names kept getting first-team reps: Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel. Shedeur remained sidelined. The silence? Deafening. Some say the remark from Stefanski was calculated, intended to signal doubts without making them explicit. Others believe it was a lapse in judgment that now threatens team unity. Either way, the damage was done. Shedeur, who carried Colorado through adversity, who stayed loyal despite hits, sacks, and slander, now had to defend his spot again. And that's what made Stefanski's statement so jarring. It was more than coach speak. It cast doubt. It hinted that Sanders might be just another name on the depth chart, lumped in with walk-ons and developmental rookies. That's not a competition. That's a subtle dismissal. If the Browns are already exploring other options, they're doing so at the expense of trust. Shedeur's loyalty to Colorado was rooted in belief, in his father, in the system, in the process. For him to be questioned now, after proving his ability and mental toughness, Feels like institutional gaslighting. Even now, some Browns insiders won't defend Stefanski as a great coach, but they won't condemn him either. He sits perpetually in the middle, ranked somewhere between competent and replaceable. His decision to ditch Baker Mayfield was a gamble, and one could argue Baker's resurgence in Tampa exposed that miscalculation. Last season, Shedeur operated behind an offensive line that leaked worse than a sieve. He absorbed punishment like a veteran and never complained. He didn't bail, he didn't throw tantrums, he stayed. And this is how he's repaid, with public statements that cast doubt on his future. Let's call this what it is, an organizational identity crisis. They drafted 2 quarterbacks, Gabrielle in the 3rd, Sanders in the 5th, and now the whispers are growing. Is Cleveland already preparing for life after Shedeur? If so, it may be the most premature exit strategy in recent NFL memory. Sanders remains a generational prospect, marketable, mature, and immensely talented, but now he's being asked to prove it all over again. While others get the benefit of the doubt, Sanders isn't just fighting for a roster spot, he's navigating an identity war disguised as a quarterback competition. The decision to frame the Browns' QB1 role as wide open goes beyond routine camp politics. What if I told you the destiny of the 2025 Cleveland Browns isn't confined to a single name or a solitary narrative? What if this season, this very moment in time, stands at a pivotal crossroads? One of those rare inflection points where everything shifts and nothing is certain. I'm not just referring to wins and losses. I'm talking about identity, legacy, the quarterback hierarchy, the defensive throne, and how a lone 5th-round pick and a $16 million 0-cents contract might ultimately dictate the fate of this franchise for the next half-decade. So please, take a moment to smash that subscribe button, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your unwavering support. Let's begin with the moment that ignited the internet. Yes, it all started with a dance. Something spontaneous, almost innocent, a fleeting moment captured on video featuring Browns rookie quarterback and 5th-round selection Sheadur Sanders. With his signature blend of swagger and curiosity, Sanders turned to the 40-year-old Joe Flacco and asked, "You ever do that dance?" Flacco's response? Classic. Definitely not. I don't know if I've ever danced in public in my life. On the surface, it was harmless, veteran-rookie banter that offered fans a smile during the heat of June OTAs. But in Cleveland, in this quarterback room, that moment hit different. It wasn't just entertainment, it was chemistry. It was also the beginning of something more profound, something strategic, something revealing. Because behind the laughs and the thousands of likes that followed, a quiet storm was brewing. One that could reshape this season and perhaps the next decade. You've got Sheadur Sanders, the son of Prime, arriving in Cleveland with confidence, composure, and a digital following the size of a small nation. But he didn't come here just to trend, he came to conquer. And standing in his path, Joe Flacco, the veteran tactician with a Super Bowl ring. Dillon Gabriel, a 3rd-round pick known for his inconsistency. And Kenny Pickett, the unpredictable wild. This isn't just a training camp battle, it's a war for the soul of the franchise, because lurking in the background are 2 potential top 10 picks in 2026. Think about that. If none of these quarterbacks can seize the throne, the Browns might have no choice but to use those picks chasing yet another quarterback. But if just one of them, just one, can rise above the fray, Cleveland can finally end the carousel and build around a true cornerstone. And here's where things get even more compelling. During recent OTA practices, reports emerged that Sanders looked sharp, not just decent, not just promising, sharp. According to observers, he went 6 for 7 in 2nd and 3rd team reps, while Gabrielle stumbled with a shaky 2 for 6. That sparked an online frenzy, with fans asking the question, why isn't the most efficient quarterback getting 1st team reps? Nathan Zagura broke it down. This isn't just about completion percentages or pretty spirals. Sanders is still learning the NFL's complexities, the cadence, the command, the pre-snap reads, the post-snap decisions. Joe Flacco has 191 NFL starts. He's lived this rhythm for over a decade. Kenny Pickett has 25. Sanders? 0. So while he's impressing the staff, he's still in the developmental phase. For now. But patience doesn't mean indifference. Behind the scenes, Tommy Rees says Sanders is relentless. He's grinding, studying, evolving. The Browns aren't throwing him to the wolves. They're investing in his future. But the clock is ticking. If Cleveland doesn't fully evaluate Sanders this season, they'll be making critical decisions next year with a blindfold on. That's the danger. That's the tightrope walk. Every rep, every snap in preseason is part of a much larger trial, one that tests not just talent, but readiness, leadership, and franchise potential. Meanwhile, the quarterback room is tense. Gabriel's draft status buys him time. Sure, he's a third-rounder, there's capital invested, but the tape doesn't lie. Kenny Pickett hasn't separated himself either, and Flacco, as steady and respected as he is, isn't the long-term answer. So all eyes are shifting to Shedeur. And while fans flood social media with memes of uncles and nephews dancing at weddings, Shedeur and Flacco, they're not just dancing for laughs, they're playing for hope. Browns fans have seen too many quarterback dreams fade. They want to believe. They want to ride this wave into September. But let's pivot, because while the quarterback storyline is ablaze, there's another narrative brewing on the other side of the ball, a tale equally potent, if not more so. Enter Myles Garrett. The Browns went all in, a staggering $160 million 0-cents extension, the richest ever for a non-quarterback. That's not just a payday, it's a declaration. Garrett is the cornerstone of this defense. He's the foundation, and now he must deliver more than stats. He must deliver a culture, a standard. Jim Schwartz summed it up perfectly, quoting Spider-Man, "With great power comes great responsibility." Garrett has the sacks, the accolades, the Pro Bowls, but now he carries the weight of the entire franchise's defensive hopes. And the Browns didn't stop at signing a check. They gave him reinforcements: Mason Graham, their top draft pick, Carson Schweisinger at linebacker, two rookies, two puzzle pieces chosen with surgical precision. Let's talk about Graham. He wasn't the obvious choice. The Browns passed on blue-chip prospects like Travis Hunter to get him. Why? Because they believed Graham, lining up next to Garrett, could become a nightmare for opposing offenses. Schwartz's defense is built on pressure, chaos, and disruption. And when Garrett draws double or even triple teams, it creates a highway for Graham to feast. If Graham hits, if he becomes that guy, the Browns could have a defensive front that devours games week in and week out. And what about Carson Schweisinger? The kid is raw, still learning, but he's a heat-seeking missile. 136 tackles, 90 solo, with the instincts to be a sideline-to-sideline threat. He's stepping into a linebacker core that lost its heart when Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah went down with that devastating neck injury. Toke may not play this season, but he's still here on the sidelines, coaching, leading. His spirit lingers, and that matters, because this defense isn't just being built on pressure and tackles, it's being built on unity, identity, and purpose. While the national media might be laser-focused on Cleveland's quarterback carousel, let me tell you right now, this team is stockpiling ammunition on both sides of the ball. The Browns aren't just gearing up for a season, they're preparing for a transformation. If Sheadur Sanders proves he's the one, if Mason Graham explodes next to Garrett, if Schweisinger settles in and JOK returns in 2026, this could mark the dawn of a new Browns era. Not a rebuild, not a maybe next year, a full-throttle take-no-prisoners ascent. And that brings me to Mason Graham. This isn't just a rookie finding his footing. This feels calculated. The way the coaching staff is pairing him with Garrett, the way Jim Schwartz is scheming, it's like we're witnessing a masterclass unfold. Garrett commands the double teams, Graham feasts in the gaps, and what's truly impressive is that Graham already looks like he gets it. He's not wide-eyed or overwhelmed. He's absorbing the playbook, adjusting to the speed and applying his instincts. It's that beautiful collision of raw talent and elite coaching, and with a veteran like Garrett mentoring him every step of the way, this kid might not just contribute, he could burst onto the scene as a breakout force as early as week 1. Now let's talk about the wild card, Carson Schweisinger. Look, you can't replace a presence like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You just can't. Joki is special, a one-of-a-kind player. But Carson brings something different, something gritty, something dependable. He's got that relentless motor, that old-school linebacker toughness. He's always around the ball, always making something happen. And let's not forget, 90 solo tackles don't just appear out of thin air. That's the result of relentless preparation, film study, and insane field awareness. The coaching staff sees it, the players feel it, and if you've been paying attention, you know this guy is already carving out his place in the rotation. He might not be the loudest voice in the room, but when that whistle blows, he flips a switch. And let me tell you, when a defense has guys like that, guys who show up and grind every single snap, it raises the floor for the entire unit. But here's where it gets even more compelling and honestly even more emotional. JOK might not be suiting up just yet, but don't think for 1 second he's not playing a crucial role from the sidelines to the meeting rooms. He's stepped into a leadership space that's even more powerful. He's inspiring, he's unifying, and that kind of energy, well, you can't measure that in stats. It's the glue, the heartbeat, the reason this defense might finally become something greater than the sum of its parts. And that's what's got me fired up. It's not just about talent anymore. It's about belief, about culture, about this defense becoming a brotherhood, not just a collection of good players. Sanders is showing that he respects the hierarchy and understands the team dynamic. It's earning him respect inside the facility and reshaping perceptions outside of it. He's fiercely competitive, no doubt, but also self-aware and humble, and he's got Kevin Stefanski's attention. Now, Browns fans, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about Joel Bitonio's return and the fiery leadership he's bringing back to the offensive line room? Are you excited about Dillon Gabriel and Sheadur Sanders shaking up the quarterback competition? Drop your thoughts below. While the Browns' offensive trenches are returning to their physical, hard-nosed roots, the quarterback room is forging an entirely new chapter in Cleveland's football saga. Kevin Stefanski's blueprint is simple yet profound. Get Dillon Gabriel and Sheadur Sanders as many reps as possible. No snap wasted. Every OTA rep and minicamp drill a chance to evaluate, to develop, to determine who truly deserves to step onto the field at First Energy Stadium this fall. But here's the beauty of it. These rookies aren't tearing each other down. There's respect, mutual curiosity, and a willingness to learn from one another and from the seasoned veterans who've been down this path before. As Stefanski himself put it, they're sponges in the meeting room. That's not just coach speak, it's genuine enthusiasm. While the media might be obsessed with stirring up drama, Stefanski sees something different. A quarterback room filled with young men eager to grow, to absorb every bit of knowledge, to hone their craft. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson each bring a unique brand of experience, and the rookies are soaking it all up. And then came another viral moment, a choreographed handshake between Sheadur Sanders and rookie defensive end Aiden Huntington. So here we are, Cleveland, on the cusp of something monumental. And I'm asking you, how do you see this playing out? Can Garrett's leadership truly ignite Graham's rookie campaign into something historic? Can this defense live up to the hype even without JOK on the field, simply by having him in the building? Is this finally the year where we stop talking about potential and start talking about production? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you're as hyped as I am, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed, because this ride is just getting started. All right, let's pivot, because we've got to talk about this quarterback situation. And yes, I'm talking about Sheadur Sanders, because this kid just electrified Browns Nation. I don't think I've ever seen this much buzz around a rookie quarterback in Cleveland this early in camp. Shedeur came out and absolutely flashed in that recent practice. Sharp, confident, energetic. The guy's got that it factor you can't coach. And now fans are already chanting for him to start week 1. But hold up, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This quarterback room is deep. Dillon Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and yes, the 40-year-old playoff legend Joe Flacco. Right now, that starting job is still wide open. Nothing's been handed out. Shedar's got the arm. His college numbers were insane. 74% completion at Colorado, best in the FBS. But the red flags are real too. He's been sacked 94 times in 2 years. That's not just bad protection. That's holding onto the ball too long, drifting backward, trying to extend every play, and in the NFL, that'll get you eaten alive. But here's the thing. He knows that, and that's why I'm optimistic. He's already putting in the work. The mental side, locked in. Browns OC Tommy Rees even praised him this week for how quickly he's learning the offense and adjusting to pro speed. Reports from camp say he looked better than Pickett, Gabriel, and even Flacco in that last session. That's no small feat. Vegas isn't sold just yet, though. FanDuel has Flacco as the favorite to start week 1 at plus 116, Pickett at plus 230, Shedeur at plus 310, and Gabriel way back at plus 1960. So yeah, the smart money is still on Flacco, and honestly, that makes sense. He and Kevin Stefanski caught fire last year, won 4 of 5 down the stretch, got us to the playoffs when no one thought it was possible. That chemistry, that leadership matters. But don't sleep on Shedeur. If he keeps stacking good practices, if he keeps learning the system and cleaning up those decision-making errors, we might have a legitimate quarterback controversy brewing. And for once, that's a good problem to have. It cuts into the very foundation of the program's leadership and its relationship with the Sanders family. By keeping the door ajar, Coach Kevin Stefanski isn't merely evaluating talent. He's signaling to both Shadore and his father, Deion Sanders, that pedigree and past production no longer guarantee favor. That the team, despite his stature, is perfectly willing to move on. For Shadore, sitting through film breakdowns while whispers of potential replacements echo behind closed doors creates an unsettling paradox. His resume speaks for itself, yet here he is being asked once again to validate his presence, as if none of it ever counted. This isn't just about football, it's about optics, system preferences, and perhaps a quiet desire for a quarterback more pliable, more scheme-dependent, less threatening to the organizational hierarchy. Still, Sanders maintains humility. "I got time," he said. "Time to learn, mature, and understand the ins and outs of defensive structure." He spoke with gratitude, not resentment. "Whenever it's my time, I'll be ready." That statement, delivered with composure, echoed louder than any press release. From the moment Shadore laced up his cleats in Berea, Brown's camp transformed. Practice no longer felt like a training schedule. It became a pickup game, run by a quarterback with effortless command. Vets looked disoriented. The pace shifted. The air changed. It was subtle at first. A flick of the wrist, a tight spiral through traffic, but before long it was clear he wasn't clocking in for a walkthrough. He was orchestrating a takeover. He didn't just outplay his peers, he erased them. While Joe Flacco appeared largely sidelined, Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel fought for scraps. Sanders, he hijacked the reps with surgical precision. In one moment he's warming up, the next, he's tearing through the defense like draft busts scattered on a clipboard. Defensive coordinators winced. His pocket presence was disrespectful. His reads were clairvoyant. His ball placement, laser-guided. As Sanders lit up the field, the Browns' secondary devolved into a chaotic scramble. More PTA dads chasing toddlers than professional defenders. Coaches exchanged stunned glances. Someone even looked toward the tunnel, half expecting to see Ashton Kutcher shouting, "You've been punked." But this wasn't a gag. This was the Sheadur Sanders experience. Part surgeon, part showman, and entirely undeniable. From his first snap, he set the tone. Diagnosing a single high safety look, he threaded a needle on a seam route that forced the free safety to recover embarrassingly late. He used shoulder fakes to manipulate leverage, cycled through full field progressions, and launched precision strikes with balanced footwork, hitting his targets on their upfield shoulder time after time. The Browns' defensive strategy unraveled. Safeties were caught in limbo. Cornerbacks got torched whether in press or off man. Linebackers vacated zones trying to keep up with shallow crosses, leaving the middle wide open for digs and pivots. One corner tried jamming a receiver. Shedeur adjusted mid-route, throwing a back shoulder laser before the break, neutralizing the coverage. He didn't just execute plays, he exposed weaknesses. Post-snap rotations, disguised coverages, pressure simulations. All unraveled once Shadore confirmed the defensive picture. Coaches kept adjusting. Cover 6, fake blitzes, double robber looks. None of it worked. Sanders was 2 moves ahead. And while Cleveland's film room tried to recalibrate, New York was busy igniting its own firestorm. Reports leaked that footage of Sanders' pre-draft meeting with the Giants was so disastrous that both his camp and the Browns threatened legal action to prevent its release. Only a tightly edited clip was published. Fans erupted, critics questioned what was hidden and why. The Giants' PR team claimed it was standard procedure, but fans weren't buying it. Social media platforms exploded with calls for transparency. If Sanders had truly underwhelmed, why withhold the full interview? Thank you guys. See you next video.